Hey everybody, I am going to be coming to you either live or posting a video as often as I can while we are, looking for our silver lining, as I continue to say in all of this. And each day, I swear, if you look for it, it is absolutely going to be there. And so, one of the things I was thinking about is what can I offer, you know, um, to this group and to others as a gift of calm and peace and um, refuge and retreat. And so I came up with the thought that I can post. I'm not going to say daily. I hope it's daily. But if I say daily and then I don't do it daily, then I just won't do it at all. You know how that goes. So, as often as I can, I'm going to post just some tips and interesting information that is supportive and meant for healing and accepting what is, while also believing what is. And sometimes accepting what is very different than what we believe, but the acceptance kind of makes room for us to counterintuitively enlarge our belief, faith in something greater. And so, um, some of you may know this, some of you may not. Um, what I spend my professional life doing, probably, for a long time. It's got to be 2 decades um, or more, full time, maybe a little less than that. But I am a clinician, and my husband and I own a group practice called Inside Out Living. And the majority of the time, I am working with adults who are pretty high functioning. By that, I mean that um, they have what is known as success, as the world counts success. And they also have challenges in terms of um, regulating. And by regulating, I mean finding a way to respond more gently to triggers. And triggers are things that often cause us to either get overstimulated or understimulated. Some of you might know that as fight, flight, freeze, faint. And so our heart rate either goes up or we feel like we stop breathing. And a trigger, most of the time, is connected to a trauma, something, and we're going to broaden the understanding of trauma because by virtue of the definition I'm going to give you, all of us have experienced some trauma. And I'm giving the definition that a woman named Pia Mellody gives. And she says simply, trauma is anything less than nurturing. And by that, I mean, what was nurturing for us? Sometimes, you know, people might be doing their best to nurture us, but our body and our mind and our spirit don't receive that as nurture. And the thing about trauma is that it's not the thing that happened, the original incident. It is the fact that we never come back to it to process it, to have a repair. And basically, if we have enough of that, then it's stored in our body and in our brain, the original trauma, and it builds and builds and builds so that in the future, if something similarly reminds us, even at an unconscious level, of that original trauma, we are as activated as we were when this original thing happened. And so some of us may have gone into overactivation, so fight, flight, and some of us may have gone into lower activation, which is freeze, faint. So if you think of someone that is a combat veteran, for example, and they, haven't been that for a while, and still, when the 4th of July comes around, they have a deep level, visceral response to the fireworks. Because if they haven't had the chance to process that combat war experience, anything that is reminiscent of that experience, including the sound, the brain and the body take us back to the original incomplete response that we had at that time. And so we might get startled like that. And it might look like this, which would be kind of like a freeze, or it might look like this, which would be collapse, which would be faint, or it might look like this, which would be fight or startle response, or it just might look like this. And it's like we've left flight. And so that flight can be literal, right? But oftentimes it is, take the place, or an example would be just kind of when you say, I feel like I was just watching this thing, or I just started to shut down, but there was still this energy there. And so what we know is that if I'm over responding to something in the present, then it's probably related to something in the past. And so what I want to do is and I'm figuring this technology out as I go, I will put a link to a website that talks about sound therapy. And sound therapy is great. Like, think about it, how just music, our choice of music can change how we feel. And some of us, we can listen to a song that we haven't heard in years and years and years, and we hear it and we go right back to that place. And so sound is very powerful. And there are different kinds of sound therapies that can actually lower the stress that we're experiencing. And whether we were, in this place now with the issue of the virus, or even if we weren't, like, we have learned to operate as humans with a level of stress that is certainly not healthy, but we've become used to it. And sometimes these different sounds can help us to lower that stress. And we know that if we lower stress, we increase the strength of our immune system. If we lower stress, our memories become stronger. If we lower stress, we live longer. If we lower stress, we can increase that liveliness and youthfulness in us. And if we lower stress, even just in our life, it impacts those around us in a positive way. So that's my gift to you today. Hope it's helpful. And you may get more because I've got time. Talk to you soon. Bye.